It was just a beginning, the point of departure. Confused, I guess. Although it's not necessarily confused, it's the core of the problem. As Descartes said, cogito ergo sum. Something he forgot. Said, censeo nimis ut non possit vivere. I'm thinking too much and I can't really live. I can't take things simply as they seem to be. There's always these 3,000 years Goethe was talking about going hand in hand with it. There's the entire history of a nation. And it's this permanent movement. The odd days I'm passing the one of the railway stations at the zoo. There had been a book written, The Children of the Railway Station Zoo, die Kinder vom Bahnhof Zoo. They are adults now, grandparents. What I'm always thinking about, or what impresses me, is this contradiction in this country where you have this wealth, where you have the imperial power manifested in buildings like the Reichstag, like Merkel's new building. But there's something else. It's the extreme poverty, not even hidden. It's a very dirty place in many instances. And it is this what came to my mind, it comes to my mind again and again in the city. Berlin, Alexander Square. I got the book in the meantime. I will read, the tip of the nose felt cold. Something brushed his cheek. 12 Uhr Mittagszeitung. BZ, die neue Illustrierte. Die Funkstunde. Or the names of newspapers. Any more fears? The police has blue uniforms now. He made his way off the tram unnoticed. Mingled with the crowd. What was wrong? Nothing. Hey, Bush. Where are you going at? Or you will whoop. You. The crowds. Mascagni's grease must have dried out. It is this permanent movement, it's in the involvement in something, although it is far away. It is like the world for the kids of the train station. Now the adults, now many grandparents. And it is here where the question is answered, is being answered. From the beginning of the first section. Why? Why this killing? Why this killing of this poor woman? Why this killing of Rosa and Karl? What strikes me is that in the simplicity of daily life, we see the entire history of the country. Or should we turn it around, in the entire history of the country, we see the small little items blossoming and being killed and trying to find a place where to live. I'm currently reading something for my teaching here, which is on enterprises and work. And what I'm reading here is really kind of entertaining literature. I read personally. It's not needed, it's not necessary, but it's very interesting to look at the history of what had been the large enterprises I talked about. even if it's not about Siemens and Austrian. It's about this kind of enterprises where we find a comparison in this book between French, Italian, and German enterprises, family businesses. And the really interesting part is that it is about family businesses and how they cope in the different countries according to the traditions of what family means. The meaning of family for the families, how it is lived. I mentioned in the beginning the two features, the different features of power, where we have the moral, religious power in the Italian context, and where we have the rational, Protestant, if you want, Protestant work ethic and ethics of life, is so perfectly coined by Max Weber in his studies. And we see exactly this one pattern going through the large enterprises, family businesses, and personal life. Well organized, trying to get organized, and the Italian capital, on the other hand, not getting off ground. It is maintaining this family business, not. This is the problem, family business as such, but the problem is it is maintaining its irrationality of family bonds. They are more important than the economic process or progress in the strict sense. We have the managerial capitalism in the German Empire developing further and further, replacing not the owners, but complementing them and even fighting with them. And then we have, I remember, it just pops up, the column in front of the parliament in Italy, the old, imported, if you want, ancient column with Egypt hieroglyphs. And we have the Victory column in Berlin on this long, long stretching alley, gold, the golden angel. And I doubt that it is the golden angel of simple of wealth. It is the golden angel of money, of monetary wealth, of finance capital. There's an interesting bit to this, the role of finance capital in Germany and in Italy in the comparison. And we see as well the increasing gentrification, coming back to this poor woman being killed, this gentrification even of the ways along the railway. In the city, it's quite beautiful, admittedly. Little shops in the little, I don't know, tunnels, working areas from the railway. No place, no space for those who dropped out, less and less. And still, it is this structure of disadvantage, of exclusion as well, that makes the beauty possible. They do the work. It is their shoulders on which the rest of society is resting in the best understanding of the world. Taking rest, enjoying life, enjoying its beauty, and many, of course, not really enjoying it, but trying to jump on the train and going with it. It is the industrialist wealthy power. So different if we look at Austria, where we find as well wealth, this kind of exhibition of wealth. I'm just thinking about Vienna because I have to go there, I don't know, in 2 weeks' time or something. And I will stay a little bit longer than I have to, meeting a friend there, and we'll explore a little bit our common holidays. Will be fun, and at the same time, yes, there is this point, censeo nimis ut non possit vivere. I can't really simply enjoy it. I'm always thinking about the Habsburg Empire, the way of governance, and the arrogance going hand in hand with it. I say arrogance because I met the emperor's son. It was one of the meetings, I think I mentioned it in another piece I wrote. It was one of the occasions where I thought, God heavens, please end this meeting as soon as possible. I simply couldn't just get up. Leaving it would have offended a friend of mine, a colleague, but I would have loved to do it. Now, all this is part of this permanent tension we find in all these societies between greatness, between power as a matter of control, and the power of the small people, even if they don't know about it. I remember unter den Linden, it's many years ago, I was a very young academic, and actually it was in the great Humboldt University where I gave the first public lecture. It was this amazing feeling, this amazing impression of being one of them, one of the large, important people in the academic world, contributing to progress. Even if only a small little bit. This we, in the double sense of the word, we do a wee bit, a small thing, we contribute to something great. And yes, it happened at the great Humboldt University, where we find people having been there, studying there, characteristic for this important university, which, by the way, was always Humboldt University, even during the times of the GDR. And where we find the importance, and still these people have been aware of being part of a large, I dare to say, business of this common work of social networks. There had been hierarchies, there had been exclusions, no doubt about all this. But it had been at the same time defining their own goal with all qualifications it would need. But of course there was administration and stuff, but there was always the conflict as well about finances. Not at the center stage. So at the center stage was even the very conflictual relationship between different schools, different disciplines, who is part of which kind of science. An honest, at least to some extent, an honest debate, and definitely a more honest debate than we find it today, where we as academics are not discussing anymore amongst academics. A major problem in general, and as a result we have, I guess, at least part of this story is that we have small universities like the one I'm working now at. It's the Hochschule für Wirtschaft und Recht, the University of Applied University, I think, of economics and law. It's a too short time that I'm there. I knew several colleagues from there previously. It was a little bit, to some extent, at least in parts, a niche. And Achim, he's now nominated. He had been nominated, and there was a very conflictual process about it. And he's now member of the committee of SAGE, the critical body. It should be a critical body towards the government, following, observing, criticizing, and driving further the economic policies of this. Now, he was not accepted because he was not considered as a pure academic. He was definitely academic, or is definitely academic, but it as well, he is concerned with people's life, with what they are going through, and their daily obsessions and commitments and struggles. Something many people don't accept to be relevant. It's these people who cogito ergo sum, who follow this and just thinking that's enough. I think in my models, and this is the really important part. Victory columns in gold. This is what they represent. What they don't represent is this humming, the hustle on the Alexander Square. It's time now, I guess, to close here for a while and to go on my scooter, humming away. By the way, do you know, there's something about the busy bees with all this. The busy bees doing the daily work, the kings being basically servants, providing a nest for them, but lazily doing nothing. The busy bees humming around as we find the noise on the Alexander Square. We found it those years or those days, and we find it today. Today we find increasingly bicycles, but we find as well increasingly motor scooters. The well-known Vespa, at least for the Italians. The name Vespa is exactly this humming around. It's like the wasp, which is what the name says. The wasp with a very thick tail and making the noise of a bee, of a wasp, humming around. And there's something that may make us think. The reason for this shape is that the motor, the engine, had been actually originally taken from aircrafts that crashed at the end of the World War. They had been collected, making something useful out of them, and this useful had been the Vespa, the motor scooter, which is so traditional, so characteristic for us in Italy now, and which is taking off now in so many countries. In Amsterdam we have a real problem with it. There are too many around, and apparently that is a problem now as well, here becoming a problem in Berlin. Too many people, too busy too many people thinking too much, but in this case thinking too much about how to get on in their life, how to move on, how to survive, not finding the time needed to sit down, to reflect, and to make plans. Wiki, that's today's life. Like humming fast, without consideration. The main thing is, yes, it moves.